to learn how not just to be a typical public speaker, but become an outstanding communicator that sets you apart from the rest. Who would like to know how to learn that today? It's another pre-frame. So it's a headline up front, what people are going to learn for that day. It's basically communicating, saying, what's in it for you? This is what's in it for you. This is why you should listen. But then, the next step I'll go into in just a moment. So you're given the benefit up front, and then the next step is very critical. So I've been invited sometimes to speak for different audiences of things. Like I remember once I was invited to speak for Rotary in a small country town. And I was invited by my mother. She organised it. My mother emceed me. She did a wonderful intro. But I'm talking to a very different audience. So for that, I have to think beforehand, what's a good pre-frame for them? What can I impart to them that might be a benefit to them, etc. So that's a different domain and a different audience that can be much more challenging. So that's where you go back into these processes, know your audience, for instance. I'm going to look at that in a moment. But you need to know your audience beforehand, who you're going to be speaking to. What are they after? What are they interested in? Because you need to match up a pre-frame that's going to benefit them. Okay? So otherwise, it's going to be a mismatch. Okay? But generally, you control who you're going to be speaking to. Generally, you'll do that homework, you'll know. So it's going to vary on the syntax. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Does making sense so far as the benefit of a pre-frame? If this is all you get out of today, you go out and do a presentation, and you create pre-frames, then you'll be 10 times more effective. Because you'll tell people right up front why they should listen to you. And they will listen to you if you have good pre-frames. Okay? And what's the best way to do a pre-frame? Is to ask a what? Ask a question or a series of questions. So for most presentations I will have at least 3 or 4 pre-frames. I'll even have them jot it down. Okay? Because I'm thinking, what's the key benefits of the particular program? Okay? So for instance, a pre-frame, who was here on Saturday, the Time Rich program? Okay, so a pre-frame for the Time Rich program, brand new program, never delivered it before. So one of the key pre-frames of that is, who here would like to have a millionaire's lifestyle in less than 12 months without even having to become a millionaire? Who would like to have that, for instance? That's a pre-frame. Okay, and it's up in a nutshell. It tells people right up front in a short statement what the program's about, what the benefit is, and why you should listen. Okay, where if you don't have effective pre-frame, it could take you hours trying to explain to someone what the hell you're going to talk about. Who's ever been excited about something, and then you try to tell your friends about it, but then it's like they haven't quite got the impact or impression what you're trying to talk about? Who's ever had that experience? And it can be so frustrating. That's why pre-frames are a concise way to get to the point. They get straight to the bottom line of what's in it for me. And that opens someone up to go, aha, this sounds interesting. Okay, very effective form of communication, the most effective. So pre-frames are everything. If that's all you get out of today, is to know how to pre-frame, and what you should be doing tonight, tomorrow, any meeting you have to have, or anything, any form of marketing should all be pre-frames. Headlines on an email you're going to send to someone, subject header. The pre-frame is what's in it for them. Okay, it's on right up front. It's like a headline. Why you should watch the 6 o'clock news. Watch the news tonight, and you'll see them doing it all the time. The bites, the grabs throughout the day to get you the major headlines. Watch the 6 o'clock news, or watch Today Tonight. They're doing it to you all the time. Okay. So in this process, basically you're telling your audience what you're going to tell them. It whets their appetite. You tell them what your goals are for them, and tell them the reward for listening to you. Effectively, that's what a pre-frame's doing. What's in it for them? This is what you're going to get out of today. Therefore, that's why it's worth your effort to listen. Make sense? So, next step. Once again, a very critical step. This syntax, you do not want to lose this syntax. This is going to be, and when you get out there and do presentations, if you forget one of these steps and it's not quite working, you'll come back and go, aha, I missed one of the steps. This is the jigsaw. Put them all together, and your presentations will be 10 times better. Miss one, and then the recipe's not quite right, but it'll still be effective. If you only get pre-frames right and forget the next step, you still have a good presentation, but not as good as this. So immediately after I pre-frame an audience, the next step is to challenge the audience. So the pre-frame is telling them what's in it for them. The challenge is to say, this is what I need from you, effectively. Making sense? What's in it for them as a pre-frame? This is what I need from you, is the challenge. So I've put some examples there for you. So the challenge entices the audience to take action. Jot all that down for those who can see. We'll talk about the use of PowerPoints in a moment, etc. I generally don't use PowerPoints for presentations. Very rarely will I use a PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, so what I would write down for challenge, here's add some extra notes to this. The challenge is like the pre-frame is what's in it for them. The challenge is this is what I need from you, the audience. This is what I need from you. I'm willing to give you this, but this is what I need from you to make this deal work. That's in essence of what you're saying. And the way you're going to say that, as an example there, I've said, I'm willing to share with you a lot of information that made a big difference in my life today. However, it's a two-way street. I'm willing to give you as much as I possibly can, all my expertise, all my knowledge, which have made a massive difference to my life and the life of others I believe will make a significant impact and difference to you. However, here's what I need from you. I need you, one, to have an open mind. Okay, because you know people have a closed mind often. I challenge you to have an open mind. Two, I challenge, these are just examples of challenge. I challenge you to take lots of notes. That's another example. Because you want people to get the most out of it, so you challenge them to do that. I challenge you to physically engage. If I ask you a question, yell out the answer, yes or no. Or do you agree with that? That's another challenge. I challenge you, for instance, I often challenge people to, when I'm talking about wealth topics, to consider giving 10% of what they make to charity. That's another challenge. Okay, so you're asking permission. Is that okay? So you can create, so what you're doing in your preparation, you create your pre-frames and you're going to write down your challenges. What are you going to challenge the audience on? Does it make sense? Because what you're saying is that here's what I'm willing to give you. It's just like when you are bribing your children. In other words, telling them what they're going to get, but here's what I need. You never give something without getting a concession to form a negotiation. You know why? Because if you give something away for free and you don't get a concession, then people don't value it. But if you get a concession, then people will value it. Make sense? So the pre-frame is what you're going to give them. The challenge is what you need from them as an audience to make it work. Because if you're an educator or communicator and want to get people into action, then you need to challenge them to take action. You need to challenge them to take as many notes as possible and get the most out of this. Because your goal is to impact them to get the most out of it. True? So these are different challenges that you can have. Challenge to keep an open mind is a good one, because when you're talking to many audiences, you're talking to human nature is to be closed-minded and tend to be negative. So you're challenging to keep an open mind. You also challenge that way people in the audience. Some people might think they know more than you, which is fine. That's where you cover the acknowledge and respect. And maybe people in the audience that know more than you, respect them for that. You're not here to be like, say you know it all. You just tell them right up front. These are things that benefit me. I don't, I'm not saying that to impress you or impress upon you. I know this amount. I'm happy to share that. No, I respect that. Many of you may have had outstanding results in these areas, even greater than myself. That's okay. I just want to share with you. So I challenge you. So you challenge them to keep a very open mind, because that will keep them more interested, more prepared to listen. They'll also respect you more. You're not just going to give away information, you're going to get them to participate. And you're really asking for their permission. Is this making sense so far? Yeah. Who's getting value already? Understanding this, this process makes it so much simpler. You can go out there once we complete all this with preparation. You have something to fall back on, and you have the bits of the jigsaw. Now, this syntax, has been developed, over years and years of making it more and more precise. You're basically fast-tracking how to be an outstanding communicator. I mean, if you want to develop a public speaking career, this is literally worth hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars in income to you. Why? Because so few people know how to do this. Okay, it's a rare skill. And in society, you're rewarded based on how few people can do what you do. Does it make sense? You think about your career you're in right now, your income is determined how many other people can do that. The more people that can do it, the less income you get. The less people that can do what you do, the more income you get. Make sense? In correlation to the demand for that product or service or what you do. For instance, let me give you an example. If you're, why do neurosurgeons get paid more than garbage collectors in capitalist society? Because neurosurgeons, is there fewer neurosurgeons? because it's harder to be a neurosurgeon. A neurosurgeon, so a garbage collector can't complain and say, well, it's not fair that a neurosurgeon's making $400,000 or $500,000 a year and I'm only making $45,000 a year, as an example. They can't complain. Why? Because the neurosurgeon spent maybe 6 years at university, they've had to do prac, they've had to develop special skills, they've had to go in and have this ability to launch a career, and there's a lot less people that can do that, so they'll get paid more because there's a big demand for what they can do. Make sense? Where a garbage collector, effectively anyone can be a garbage collector. True? So there's heaps of people can do it, so the salaries are low because if they don't want to do it for $45,000, it doesn't matter because someone else gladly will. Making sense? So as a public speaking skill, you have a skill that very few people have. So therefore, public speakers can earn a large amount of money. They can earn millions and millions of dollars a year because they have the ability to do something very few people have. Or even as that skill as an entrepreneur or in your corporate career, because you have that skill that can give you a competitive advantage over other people in the company or other companies, because you can impart a idea, concept, a knowledge about a product or service, etc., which can mean you can do more deals, generate more clients, etc., where other people can't. So you think about that, how valuable this skill is. There's very few skills other than marketing that can earn you such a large income. Who's excited by that, by the way? And that's what you're learning today. So, and when I was first learning this, I had no idea of the impact and the power that this information will once play in my life in a later date. Okay, so I was very grateful to learn this and very lucky to learn this because this hasn't been taught to many people before. Making sense? Okay, so does anyone have any questions at this point in time? Any questions so far? Or are you all pretty much understanding it, flowing with it? Okay, let's continue through the full syntax, then we'll take some questions, and then we'll come back to what you do before you start a presentation. So this is your blueprint for doing a presentation, so you're all prepared for that, and then a couple other things we'll go through. Okay, so recap on this so far. You started, the MC's edified you, introduced you, you've introduced yourself, who you are, what you're representing, okay? You've acknowledged and respected the audience. You pre-framed what's in it for them, basically 2 or 3 pre-frames of what you're going to learn today, what your presentation's about, this is what's in it for you. Then you've challenged your audience, so this is what I'm going to give to you, but this is what I need from you. I really need today to be able to help you as much as possible. I really need you to keep an open mind. I really need you to take lots of notes so you can get the most out of this, okay? And then you can challenge it. So it's up to you. Whether you use this or not makes no difference to me, but I just want you to get the benefit if you're committed to learning how to, generate a 6 or 7 figure income. So you're tying it back to what's in it for them. Making sense? So the next step, what you do, so now in a presentation, these pre-frames and challenges, as a timeline, just jot down a timeline here. This may be, you may be up to challenge the audience within the first 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes of your presentation. So this, what we've gone through so far, is effectively the first 5, 10 minutes of your presentation. As you become more skilled at this, that the challenge and the pre-frames all sort of tie in and they might expand further, okay? So some presentations, this might extend for me up to 20, 30, 40 minutes into the presentation. But that's only because I've been doing it for so long and it's unconscious competence. Generally, you'll be going through this in 5 or 10 minutes. Because the first, let me ask you this question. What do you think is the hardest part of a presentation? The last 5 minutes or the first 5 minutes when you first get up there? First 5 minutes is the most difficult part of the presentation because you're nervous, you have to break the ice, and you have to take charge of the room. This gives you ability to do that in the first 5-10 minutes. And that's all you have to focus on then. So when you're going up there, you don't have to worry about, what if I run out of things to say? What if I forget about this? That internal dialogue is not effective because you need to be present. And once you go into that, then you're not there for the audience. The audience can see that. Okay? And if you're nervous, it makes the audience nervous. Or if you're embarrassed, it makes them embarrassed. Okay? If you're confident, you're relaxed, makes them relaxed. You set the energy for the room. So if you're laid back, having fun, joking, etc., that will create that effect with the audience. If you're nervous and worry about this, the audience will start to, some will start feeling for you, some will think that they'll make fun of you or whatever, because you're reflecting that. So it's really about you taking charge, and this gives you the blueprint to take charge. So the next step, and this happens within, as I said, the first 5 to 10 minutes you're up to this point. This is a simple process. Step number 6 is interaction. This will break the ice. This will get the hard part out of the way in 5 minutes, and then you own the audience once you do this. So interaction. Why is this critical? Is when you first start a presentation, the audience it's like you have to break the ice. So the sooner you can get to interaction, the better. So you've pre-framed, you've challenged the audience, it might take you 5 minutes. In the first presentations, you might be doing it in 3 minutes because you want to get to this point as quickly as possible. So then you challenge the audience, then you can simple things, you can, okay, everyone stand up, as an example. That's what I would do. And if you do that, you're taking charge of the audience. You get them to stand up, these are simple things you do. Here's what I want you to do. Turn to 3 or 4 people around you, say your name, where you're from, what do you do, or why are you here today? What do you want to get out of today? In other words, you're getting the audience involved and get them to talk to each other. Once they talk to each other, you might let them do that for a few minutes. The audience, everyone's now relaxed. Because when people first come into a room, remember, they may not know other people in the room. So there's this the ice in the room, effectively. What you're doing is warming the room up, getting people to interact. People interact, start talking, etc. Then everyone relaxes and the room is relaxed. Then you're ready, you can now present. Because everyone knows each other. It's like the room's become warm, it's become friendly. Who's following what I'm saying here? Okay. If you do this, it'll take all the pressure off your presentation. Don't do this, and then you've got to be going there for an hour or 2 while the room is cold, effectively, and trying to reach people in a cold room. Very hard to do. With this, within 3, 4, 5 minutes, you own the room. And then everyone's friends, and then they're open to listening to what you have to say. If you pre-frame them clearly, you've challenged them, and you've got them to interact. If you remember those 3 things, you will find public speaking will turn from a fearful, scary thing to something that's quite simple, quite enjoyable, and much easier to do. Who's excited by that? Okay, this will just make your life so much easier. So, interaction. So, within the first 5 minutes. So, sometimes it depends on the setting, whether you get people to stand up or not, but just get people at least to talk to the person next to them. Just breaks the ice, gets them talking, and now you own the audience. Most of your hard work is now done in the first 5 minutes. Now, people are relaxed, they're ready to learn. The next step, what you would go into, is just continue on from this. So, okay, so number 7... you'll now get into, once people finish talking to each other, you now get into the body of your presentation. Okay? The body of the presentation. So, what I would do straight away is share your story. Just briefly. So, in this part, what you're doing is you're first of all establishing your credibility. So you've challenged the audience, you've got the interaction, you will tell people, okay, why should they listen to you, your story? In other words, you tell them right up front, what have you got that you can share with them? You establish your credibility. And this then leads into the actual content, the body of your presentation. We should have preparation for this, should have your notes for this, and this part's much easier. Far easier than trying to see the PowerPoint. Now, what I suggest, so I've got points there, get to the point, genuine, real, be ethical, honest, joke about things you're not good at, etc. So you want to be, the more relaxed you are, now it's easy saying that when you're a professional speaker, you've done it time and time again, it's easy to be relaxed. But the more relaxed you can be, the more effective you'll be. You can use humour to a degree. But if you're not generally using humour, don't try and make up jokes and things like that. I wouldn't use humour to make up jokes. That can be quite risky unless you're very good at that. But you can just use humour by taking, having a go at yourself, basically. I'm not very good at that or whatever. Just being real and very down to earth. People really respect people that are just themselves. And the challenge of a lot of people want to speak is that they want to create a good impression, so they're trying to create a facade and they're not being them. The most effective speakers are people that are real, they're just being themselves. And people relate to that. People want to see that authenticity. They want to see the real person. Okay? If you come across with that, you can be relaxed, etc. So part of that will come from your posture, your frame of reference. If you're coming from a position wanting to please everyone in the audience and want everyone to love you or everyone to like you, then you're in a position of failure. Because let's face it, no matter how popular you are as a person, you have the greatest personality on the planet, the greatest looks. Is everyone going to like you, yes or no? No, they're going to have their own judgments, etc. So your job is not to have everyone like you. Your job is you should have a set outcome for your presentation. What is that outcome? And we'll go through that before up front. What is your outcome? What is your agenda? What do you want to accomplish by that 5-minute, half an hour, 2-hour, 4-day presentation? You want to have a clear outcome about that. That's your goal, what you're focused on. Obviously, you want to have rapport with the audience, but you're not there to please necessarily and have everyone like you. Okay, but the more relaxed you are and the more unattached you are, you're just here to, you know what you've got to share is of value. You know if people are open-minded, they're going to get value out of that, and you're passionate about it and you're willing to go that extra distance and put everything into it on the condition that they're prepared to be open-minded, prepared to take notes, prepared to do what it takes to get the most out of it. That's pretty much the deal you're telling people right up front. So after the interaction, I will usually then, depends on the audience. If the audience doesn't know me, I'll spend more time sharing my story and my credibility. Okay, and I'll tell them often right up front what gives me the right to speak on this particular subject. Because what you're doing now, jot this word down, is preempting. A good communicator is almost a mind reader. You're actually reading, and if you get good at this, I don't know whether you believe in channeling or picking up on energies. As a communicator, especially women will be more intuitive at this. As speakers, you'll probably pick up on it a lot as well, is that in an audience, you will start to become, if you do this a lot, you become a mind reader. You'll actually be able to sense what people are feeling and thinking, and you can pick it up. It becomes quite amazing. I've been in audiences where you might have 500 people and you can pick 1 or 2 people that might be negative, and you can almost hear their thoughts and you hear what they're thinking, and by that power of that mind reading, or however that works, whatever you believe in, but you can sense that if you get very good at this. And when you can sense that, you can then you're preempting and you're mind reading. So you're talking directly to their subconscious, and it'll blow people away. Because if you sense that, you can incorporate that into your presentation. So you're speaking almost directly to them, but by a story or third party, and it makes them really realize, because you're sensing the energy. Does that make sense? Now, that's something you're probably not going to develop straight away, but that's something that, even if you're not a mind reader, you're saying, Jamie, it's all right. You're saying now I have to be a mind reader to be a public speaker? You didn't mention anything about that. Okay. But you can become a mind reader by preempting anyhow. You can guess what people are going to be thinking. So even if you're not a mind reader, even if you're not sensing and tuned in with the feelings or the energy in the room, you can guess pretty much. So what I mean by that, you're preempting. So you can be preempting that some people in the audience are probably going to be thinking, why should I listen to this person anyhow? I'd rather be somewhere else today. You know, the babysitters are probably not doing their job. You know, people are thinking about all these things while they're